the institute. Okay. Well, remember that last class I told you that this week we are going to start working with a book, yeah? But first of all, tell me, free time. What does this phrase suggest to you? Free time, no working, outdoor activities, probably resting, sleeping, reading. Okay? Well, today we're going to work with something related to this, let's say. Okay? Well, the ones who already have the book, please go to page 40. Yeah? Okay. Tell me, people. What do you do in your free time? Probably you sleep, you swim, you play in sport when you have free time. However, there are people who do other activities. Okay. Well, what you have to do now is to look at the photos here. You have there different sports, and you have the names of those sports there in activity B. So what you have to do is to match the names of the sports to the pictures representing them, yeah? Once you finish that, you have to check. You can check, okay? Well, when you finish that, you have to do the reading part of the activity. So what you have to do is to read this short article, and you have to complete the blank spaces with with the sports in the previous activity. Okay. Once you finish that, you can listen and check your answers. Yeah. Okay. Well, once you finish the reading part, you can go to the listening part of the class. Well, in this part, you are going to read an article or short information about Verónica Cuadrado. Do you know Verónica Cuadrado? Do you know her? Well, she is an athlete from Spain. Okay. Well, you are going to listen information about her, and you have to answer the questions in A. Okay. Then in activity B, you have to listen to an interview with her, and you have to number the questions in the order that you hear them. As a clue, you have number 1 already done. Okay. So you have to number the rest of the questions. When you do that, then you have to listen again, and this time you have to answer the questions. Yes? Very good. Well, now let's move to the following page, and it says grammar. We're ordered in questions. So, in order to do so, first let's make a revision on types of questions. There are 2 types of questions: yes/no questions and WH questions. Yes/no questions start with an auxiliary verb, for example, do or does, or with the verb to be, or, well, other auxiliary verbs, for example. For example, do you like apple? They are answered using yes or no. Okay. WH questions start with a WH or a question word. For example, where, when, why, etc. They cannot be answered using yes or no. For example, if I ask, where do you live? You cannot answer saying, yes, I do. Okay? So, these kind of questions ask for information. Okay? That is very important. So, which are the WH words? Who, which, asks for a person, what, that asks for a thing, where, asks for a place or a location, when, asks for a time or a date, why, asks for a reason, how, asks for manner or for the way, and which is very similar to what, it asks for a thing, but in this case you have to choose from an option. You have option, okay? Well, which is the word order in questions? The word order in questions, in yes no questions, is for questions with the verb to be, you start by using the verb to be. Remember that I told you last class that in questions there is an inversion. In affirmative and negative sentences, you start the subject, the sentence with the subject, and then you use the verb or the auxiliary verb. In the case of questions, you start by using the verb to be or the auxiliary verb, okay? So, for example, are you married? So that is the word order for questions with verb to be. Verb to be, subject, and the rest, okay? And then you have for questions with other verbs, the form is auxiliary, subject, and the verb in infinitive form. That is to say, the SC form. For example, do you speak French? Okay. And then you have the word order in questions, in WH questions. And again, if you have a question with a verb to be, you start the question by using the WH word, and then the verb to be, then the subject, and then the rest of the question, okay? For example, where are you from? And for questions different from be, for other verbs, you use the question of the WH word, then the auxiliary, then the subject, and then the infinitive verb. That is to say, the quasi form, okay? For example, what do you do on Sundays? Okay, so once you know this, you can do the activities. So go back to your book and do activity 3 from page 41, yeah? So what you have to do is to reorder the words to make questions, okay? And then try to remember the answers, yeah? Once you finish that, go to the grammar bank part, page 104. Remember that the grammar bank part is the blue part from the book, okay? You have to do part 7a, activities A, B, and C. In activity A, you have to complete a sentence with the question word from the list. So you have the question words and you have to complete the questions. In activity B, you have to order the words to make questions, and in activity C, you have to complete the questions using is, are, do, or does, okay? Well, when you do all those activities, it's time to do the quiz. There is a quiz in the Google Classroom, so please do that in order to practice, okay? And then we go to the vocabulary practice, okay, the vocabulary part. So go back to your book on page 41 and do activity 4. You have to look some sentences from the interview, and you have to complete the missing words, okay? Trying to remember the missing words, okay? When you finish that, listen to the track 3.7 and check your answers. And then you have to go to the vocabulary bank, that is to say the green part of the book, and do part 1. Free time activities, okay? So listen and repeat the verb and verb phrases, and then in order to practice, you have to cover the words and say the verbs or phrases. When you finish that, there is some worksheets to practice that in the Google Classroom. In this activity, in the first activity, you have to unscramble the words, the letters, to make phrases related to free time activities. And in the second activity, you have crossword, and the clues are the countries in which some sports are played. So the idea there is to complete the crossword with the sports from activity 1, the reading activity, remember? Well, that is the practice, an extra practice, okay? And then when you finish that, there is a speaking activity that is explained in the Google Classroom, and the idea is that you send some information, some short activity in the WhatsApp group. If you prefer, you can send that in a private message to me. Okay, that is all for today, and see you next class.